Good morning, good afternoon. How are you all? This is Toyin Umesiri. Welcome to my daily live shows, Mondays to Thursday, where I bring to you business and life strategies. And I'm putting more structure behind this. So, this is what you should expect now. There's going to be 4 segments in the show. The first segment, I'll be covering life strategies. And then the second segment, I'll open that up for discussion. And then the third segment, I'll go into business strategies. And then the fourth segment, I'll open that for discussion as well. So as I try to put more structure behind this, I really want to thank everybody that's been on this journey with me in terms of putting the right format, the right tone, the right energy behind this, and welcoming the community from all over the world to participate with in this conversation. So yes, it's a conversation. I'll share my thoughts, but I also want to hear from you. So I welcome Miss Chrissy again to the stage here on Clubhouse and those on LinkedIn, YouTube, and other platforms as well. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Miss Chrissy, how was your weekend?
Hi, it might be a little loud. I'm walking.
Okay.
It was really well.
Awesome. Awesome. So, yes, so let me dive into it today. Last week, I did set the stage around achieving your next level results. So, the first segment around life strategies is on the topic of next level results. And there's a new statement or phrase that I came up with. Usually, I'm a prolific writer, just to explain my thoughts, to put my thoughts together in a way that I can share and others can benefit from. So, here is the key, right? Your next level results, okay, requires clarity, perspective on where you are today and where you're going, okay? So I'm going to break it down. I'll share the phrase, the complete statement or sentences, and then I'll break it down explaining what I mean. So our next level result requires us to be clear in terms of where we are and where we need to be, or where we should be, or where we ought to be. I'll explain those as well, right? Clarity and perspective, right? And also, this will help us to understand, to assess if we actually have the capacity required to close the gap. So that's what I'm going to explain today. Clarity, perspective in terms of where we are, where we ought to be, where we should be, where we need to be. I'll explain those as well because my statements are always loaded. When I say ought to be, those are missed opportunities. Where you are and where you ought to be. Where you are today may not be where you should be. You may have missed certain opportunities in the past. You may have decided not to make certain decisions in the past that really indicates a delay, a slight delay. You can catch up. This is why this life strategy session is. If you're aware, if you're clear that you're slightly behind in terms of where you believe you ought to be and where you are today, so you want to catch up. The other one I talked about in terms of where you need to be. Let me use this analogy. If you are supposed to catch a train, okay? If you ought to catch a train to, say, downtown Chicago, and you're still in your house, okay? You ought to be somewhere so you can be in proximity in terms of the vehicle that will take you to your next level. Right? So where you ought to be to catch that plane or that train that will then connect you to your next level, if you're not there, guess what? You're disconnected. Okay? So I'm breaking my statement down, okay? Because when I write, I just write blips. But this is deeper. Where you are, where you ought to be, where you should be, where you need to be, all determines what you should be putting together to race to your next level. Because the next level actually requires work from us. Why? Let me break another thing down, okay? Your next level could be connected to a geographic location, meaning you need to physically be in a particular city, state, location, city, whatever it is, country, for you to actually be able to participate in the next level of opportunities that is going to be presented to you. How do you know this? For those of us, for example, immigrants, whatever, right? Look at your past, the decisions you made, the success you're achieving, you're enjoying right now is probably tied to certain decisions you made 20 years ago. And the decision you will make today or not make may determine the next 20 years. So when we talk about next level result, it could be tied to physically relocating. Your next level could also be tied to a relationship. A relationship that will connect you to the next level. Promotions, appointments, on and on and on. Your next level could also be connected to, guess what? A Goliath you will conquer. The David, the lion and the bear, and then the Goliath. Something public, a great feat that you would demonstrate publicly that will show your capacity. Because those who would advance you, those who would promote you, those who would take you to the next level, they want to be sure that they are crowning the right person, that they are appointing the right person. When I talk about the pyramid of success, wealth, power, influence, right? You think about a lot of the opportunities that so many people enjoy today. Oh, nomination, appointment. If you're going to nominate somebody, you want to see a track record, right? You don't want to put your reputation on the line. So a lot of times, people that are nominated, they will have to go through a test. When you think about the new justice that was appointed, if the president of a country nominates you and you get there and you fail, guess what? The president failed as well. His nominee crumbled under pressure. You see my point? Is that there are certain things you should be doing right now to demonstrate the capacity, your leadership capacity. Why? Because people are watching. The relationship that would appoint you, they are watching. And they really do want to appoint. They want to know when they crown David. God has already crowned him. But public opinion sometimes matters, right? No, let me not say opinion, public validation. Validation. The public also needs to validate that this person, okay, has demonstrated a certain level of capacity worthy of this appointment. Your next level could be tied to a location. It could be tied to an individual. It could be tied to a Goliath that you will slay publicly, right? It could also be tied to progressive activities and investment, education, all of that. So let me stop right there and get some reactions on Clubhouse. And also, if you're joining live, do let us know where you're joining from. Drop a comment, drop your question, and let me know your thoughts as well. Any quick reactions on what I just shared? Thank you. Mrs. Ariola, are you still on the go on, please.
Thank you for what you said. Everything you have said is very correct, I would say. Like the next level may be tied to you moving your location. You have to be discovered by somebody else, or you have to discover something else out of where you are presently. Your next level might be tied to what you are expressing today, enjoying today, or probably going through. Maybe most times is related to what you have decisions you have made in the past. Yeah, like some 22 years ago, I decided to come to England to have my master's, and then I found myself some 10 years later having to relocate back because I already have what it will take for me to start all over here. Do you understand? So our next level is always tied to both the past and the future we see ahead of us, and then the moves we have to make, the people seeing us, the things we're doing. All that you have said is just very, very correct. That's what I'll say.
Wow. Here's also what people also need to think about is that those who did not take the risks, those who did not make the investments, those who didn't make the decisions that you had to make, the risks, investments, and decisions that you had to make, I'll be honest with you, they're still where you were. They're still where you would have been. Meaning there are still people around you in your community that didn't take the risk you took, that didn't make the investments you made, and they didn't make the decisions that you made those 22 years ago. I'm sure you can pick up a phone and call them, and they're still where that's where you would have been if you didn't take the risks, if you didn't make the investments and if you didn't make those decisions. Like life is like that. Is that as we speak right now, though the train is about to leave again, there's another flight. Destiny always has, just like here in Chicago, there's a flight every hour between Chicago and New York. If you miss one, you come again another hour, right? That has happened before, right? Is that the reason I know is because there was a day, there was a meeting. The president of Nigeria was coming to New York, and I was like, I was invited, for private meeting, on and on, right? So I went there. I was like, this, I can't miss this meeting. And then as I was getting there, they had closed that door. And I was like, where? And then they told me, said, don't worry, just sit down. Between Chicago and New York, there's a plane every hour. We'll put you on the next. I was like, really? Oh, that's amazing. Okay. And they put me on. But life, it may not be an hour. It may be every 10 years.
And then the thing to note there is that the people you're supposed to be with on the flight to miss are not the ones you're going to meet next on the next flight. So you know where the opportunities are.
The people sitting next to me are not the ones that are important. It is the plane itself and the pilot. The pilot needs to get me there. Right? The pilot, I don't care if they are. Yes, and this is another reality you're bringing up. A lot of people care too much about who is sitting next front. No. Am I on the right plane? Is this pilot capable of flying this plane? Did I board the right plane to the right direction? We can all enjoy the refreshments in flight, because when that plane arrives, you will move on to your own path, your own route. I would move on to mine. So a lot of times there are some relationships that is just, you're just in class together, right? You just attended secondary school together, high school. You just attended university together. You just happen to be sitting in the same conference or events together. It doesn't mean when this conference is over, your destiny and mine, we may not be on the same journey, but many people get distracted, which is another thing that should be considered, is that not everybody you happen to enroll in the same class, or went to the same secondary school, or went to the same university, or went to the same anything. You just happen to be in the same plane, right? You just happen to be sitting next to each other. But ultimately, when that school closes out, you graduate, they graduate. God dismisses everybody into their destination. You move on. Unfortunately, many people are still locked in on that plane. High school, nothing wrong with that. Those are great relationships. But what you just said just unlocked another thing right there. Is that, are people still thinking about, oh, we boarded the same plane together, so you and I are, you see my point? Oh, we class of 77, class of whatever. So fantastic. We have the same plane tickets that said we boarded the same plane. But ultimately, when that plane ended, did you deboard? Go on, please. Go on.
So you got the point. I tried to explain that. Okay, we're talking about not missing our train now, not missing an opportunity, because time matters. But like the opportunity comes but once, and it comes in different forms. That's the point to explain there. That okay, you, like you said, you're taking opportunity, you're making a move because you want to get somewhere, and because of going to somewhere, you're probably meeting some people along the journey that will add value somehow. Maybe have an information for you, like a pointer or some other things, like collaboration opportunities. But if you don't meet them at that point in time, you miss them, but you never know what you missed anyway when you don't know. When you don't know, you don't know. That's another side I'm trying to explain.
Yes.
My point.
Yes, you're spot on there. You're spot on. But the outcomes, they will bear witness always. To the person that made the decision and to the person that didn't make the decisions, the results, we are talking about next level results. The results, the outcomes will be evident, will be the evidence. Right? Is that at the end of the day, the evidence will show itself publicly. Who took risks? Who made investments? Who made the right decisions? At the end of the day, the world is so fair. That's the fairness of the world, actually. The fairness of the world is that the people who took the risks will be rewarded. The people who made the decisions, God will show up. This is this see God expects us to step in. We have responsibility on this journey. I think that's why this is so important. Is that many times, particularly we that were believers as well, we may not be implementing the practical side of faith, right? Faith without works. There's works involved. The works is what I'm breaking down now. That Solomon, right? Or even let's say Saul, for Saul to be crowned, there was a lost, was it lost donkey or his father lost something. And he had to actively get closer to a place where, he could be anointed and blessed. You see my point? There are some blessings that may not come into the door, that may not knock. You have to go out. Like it's a marketplace. You actually have to open your door. You have to dress up, open your door, and go into the marketplace and show up for you to participate in economy. It's just like when I teach international trade, when I talk about the global economy. If you're not in proximity where we're talking about international trade, you've excluded yourself from those opportunities. Just by proximity, that's all. Just by proximity, you cannot participate in opportunities when you're not in the room. By not being in the room, those people have been excluded. Or like it's by default. People are excluded unless you show up, unless you invest, unless you make the decision. So when I host International Trade Summit, it's the same. People would invest thousands of dollars to fly from all over the world to be present. And when they're present, they participate. If they're not present, you don't participate. Like that's the fairness of life. Because if everything, like people think, make believe, if everything is available to everybody without investment, without risk taking, without decision making, then the world will be flat and equal. Right? The world will be flat and equal. And then guess what? You don't have to put in any work. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why are you here? If the world is flat and there's no reward into the investments you are making in your life, and the risks you are taking, and the decisions you are making, and the sleepless nights, if God is telling you don't need to do, nobody needs to do anything, I will bless everybody. Please, my sister, why are we why am I here? But God said, I come quickly and my reward is with me. We know the parable, 5 talents, is that we must apply ourselves. It's an expectation, right? At the end of the day, we have that. Go on. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, we must apply our talents and see how it goes.
Yes. And that is actually what God blesses, right? Is that when you plant the seed, you water the seed, you put your investments, right? That is actually, because if God blesses, zero is zero. The works of our hands, that's what God says, right? It will be blessed. There's nothing you do that will not be blessed, which is where the faith component of all of these things. But we need to give God something to bless, something to amplify, the God factor. That's another topic entirely. The 360 life is coming here in here. But yes, so again, this idea, there's another thing I introduced last week. So I want us to think about this, right? This may not be for everybody. Actually, it is not for everybody, but this is the test. The test I ask people to just check on is if what you're seeing, the vision you have for yourself, or the vision God flashes in front of you, looks nothing like the success you are achieving right now. Again, if the vision, the dreams, hopes, aspiration that God has put in your heart inside of you today, and if the picture you're seeing looks nothing like your present success, right? Everything around you, what it simply means is you must disrupt the present to achieve the future. You must disrupt this present. You must disrupt it. You must let it go to actually reach for that future. But if what you're seeing looks the same as what it is today, then you don't need everything we're talking about today. You just stay, you've arrived. You've arrived, really. You've arrived, right? That's why I'm very, very careful. I know who I'm called to. Is that at some point I know that there's so many people in the world that are just fine and happy and okay, and nothing wrong with that. It's a great life, right? Those people, those individuals, I'm not called to them. Like, I'm not called to them. The people that I'm called to are the restless ones. I know, the restless ones, the ones that are striving, the ones that are hungry, the ones that understand there's something beyond, ahead of the curve, that they're working towards really, really actively. Those are the ones that see Toyin and say, Toyin, I've been looking for you. The resources I bring, the words I bring, the inspiration I bring, the motivation I bring is actually for those ones that are actively in search of achieving, attaining, striving towards higher. Everybody else, no, everything I say is like noise, because guess what? Everything I say, okay, requires work. And those who do not want to do the work, it's like I'm just disrupting their nice sleep. So please keep sleeping if you are. But those who are awake, with the woke culture, right? Then what I'm saying makes sense to them. Any thoughts there, Miss Chrissy, before I move on to segment 3, which is really on the entrepreneurship strategies?
Yes. I've been processing the word
Should?
in the context that you use it. Because for me, the word should
Mm-hmm.
seems to breathe two negative things, and that's
Particularly in the
right.
American culture. Particularly in the American culture. Go on.
Right, right. So that and yeah, that's what's coming up. But like, it's usually um, for the
It's like,
individual, it's regret, and for the person on the outside, it's judgment.
yes,
And
yes.
judgment comes from lack of understanding. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
processing of like what I think we're always present at the moment we're supposed to be present.
Mm-hmm.
So how could should live in that same moment?
Right. So in the game plan 12 strategies for winning, I always talk about nature, nurture, culture. So I do understand the American culture enough to call it out, that the word should is something people push back on greatly in American culture. So I understand the effect it has. In the African culture, it's not. It's not seen the same way. So the should, it's almost an imposition. It's almost directional. It's almost, like you said, judgmental, right? And to the person, it's regret. You're right. Well, but here's the key. This is why truth, clarity, and honesty and truth is so important in this moment. And this is why we always have to give God permission and the Holy Spirit permission to speak truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. Is that we have to give God permission to say to the person with the one talent that buried the talent, you have to give God permission to say, my son, my daughter, you should have invested that one talent in the bank, even if you're not going to trade it. You should. The expectation. Because in the American culture, we are the boss of ourselves, right? We are the boss, the don. We are living this life, self-made men and women, right? That's why culturally in America, should is something you don't even use. You don't use it in the workplace. But I'm saying in spiritual dimension and in life principle, the Bible uses it. Whether we like it as human or not, whether it makes, because we always want to feel comfortable, like, oh, my child, you're always good. We want the accolades, we want the awards. But I'm sharing that an athlete cannot improve in the game if the coach cannot call out what they should be doing, what they should be eating, when they should be sleeping, why they should not be drinking and wasting their life out. Should has a role in life, but the American culture has pushed it out. That's my feedback. God should be able to tell me, Toyin, I don't like, you should not have said that. And for me to say, I'm sorry. Should has a place in life, but the American culture, it doesn't. So you're living in America, you and I are living in America, but that's why for me, I dance between the worlds that bred me. Africa, they will call us out quickly, smack us into shape. It is permitted in Africa that your elders will call you out if you are failing and operating beneath the expectation of your community. They will call you out in Africa. In America, they will let you destroy yourself and they will cheer you on and they will clap for you as you are going off the cliff. Aha! America, even your family, your brother cannot tell anybody the truth. So they will, if you are dancing and doing all the things online and your family is seeing you, Africa, they will cover your nakedness. America will let you plunge and they will go next. I'm calling it out because I live in those two worlds. Is that as the Africa in us, we don't let one of us go out there misbehaving. We will even to the detriment of those relationships, we will call each other out. Now there's an extreme to it that is unhealthy, but at least I would rather that. I would rather my sister, brother, uncle call me out quickly. In fact, I usually check in. I say, any feedback for me, any advice for me, what should I be doing, should not be doing? I open myself to, you know, words of love. Words of love. Whether I like it or not, it's going to help me get better. But again, the American, nobody tells you anything in America. You will fail. You will not even know you are failing. They will tell you fail fast. That's the best thing America can offer you. Fail fast, my sister. Fail fast. Go on, go on, go on. Who on, Miss Chrissy? Make sense?
I mean, I understand how it comes up culturally
Mm-hmm.
different.
Mm-hmm.
I just still think it connects to, like, the example that's popping in my head is
Mm-hmm.
if there's a child
Yeah.
in second grade and learning math,
Mm-hmm.
and that child does not process math the current way that the teacher is teaching it.
Mm-hmm.
Often, if the parent can step up and say, well, this is how I learned it, maybe this would be better for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's always another way to learn a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And some people get it quickly, just like in class,
Mm-hmm.
and other people need other ways for that lesson to be explained or
Mm-hmm.
to come from another perspective for them to process it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where
Right. Right. So there's context.
You learned with the class, but you didn't. Yeah. And so, and I bring it forward because a lot of people we're always someone's child.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe if we see each other's that way,
Mm-hmm.
we say, okay, they wasn't supposed to learn that lesson from me,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that they will.
Right.
Hopefully that they will. You can wish them well instead of feeling like the one who had to be the one that teaches them, because that's ego.
Right. What you're explaining, okay? So how we communicate and how we relate with one another is based on relationships, right? So the people that I open my heart to that can correct me and check me, it's not everybody that I allow to do that, right? So I also do not offer should, could, would to anybody that I'm not in relation with. Because to your point, there are different ways of correcting one another, but that way, my point is very based on relationship. So the relationship I have with my creator and my soul and my husband and my spouse and the people who love me, I give them permission to check me out so I don't fail. So that at the end of life, I do not regret. You see my point? So this is very, very personal, subjective, is that I have made a decision that I am not loyal enough to myself in such a way that I cannot listen. So there's a scripture that actually it checks me big time. It's this scripture that says there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is destruction. That scripture, it means no matter how convinced I am that I am right, I still need to give small room for Holy Spirit to check me. That scripture says no matter how I'm convinced, but the American culture tells us your conviction and everything in your consciousness that you are should drive you and motivate you. And I'm saying that conviction could literally lead people off the cliff, and it is every day. Will Smith, he was so convinced somebody else deserved a slap, he did it anyway. That is a behavior that could have been caught from a young age. I don't think you get to that height in life that that's your first time. It's never. Right? That's, I know. Let me close that Pandora box quickly. Let me quickly close it. I'm not looking to open that up. I'm just trying to make a point. You like that? Let me close it up.
My favorite, right? Now, my favorite line is you just said that resonates is that I understand that I'm not loyal enough to myself. I need someone to check me to make sure I'm heading in the direction I claim I want to go.
Right.
I can understand.
It's just a scripture. It's a scripture that calls for humility. That no matter where you get to in life, don't be too sure. That's what they call pride goes before a fall. Is that no matter whatever success you achieve in life, caution, right? That we need to step steadily. That we should not be too full of ourselves, thinking we can move anyhow. That scripture cautions me big time. That even when I think I'm so right, so convinced, God is saying there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end, and that end is only who knows the end. That's why I submit myself, I humble myself. I am like, it's it's just a personal principle that I choose to adopt. I share it, but I don't impose it on anybody. I mean, this session is just me sharing my principles and my strategies, and it's an offer. People can take it or not, but I'm also conscious to say I understand that in the American culture, it's not a culture. It's not what we do. Actually, the culture here lets you fail publicly, and then cancel culture will cancel you. In Africa, we don't cancel. We don't. We rehabilitate. In Africa, we still believe. In fact, that's why we say we talk about we don't hear all your dirty linen publicly. In Africa, we cover. There's an extreme on all of this, right? I try to bring these things to the middle. That there's also an extreme on the African side that that breeds corruption, breeds all of those things because nobody calls anybody out. There's the American side where you don't call anybody out. They're just extreme on life. I just try to understand it and bring myself into the middle. The safe middle is where I try to be. But I seek to understand the influence that this culture, living in this culture, the cultural adaptation as humans we bring on. My call, at least in my programs, the Game Plan 12 Strategies for Winning, is let's be clear, let's understand, and let's take responsibility that I am not responsible for other people's life, but this my life, this one that God has gifted me with, I need to drive it carefully, with wisdom, right? With perspective, with strategies, this business, all of those things. With God's help and the help of the community and the people who love me, I will get there. I will fulfill what God has called me to fulfill. That is all. I'm also encouraging other people to just explore for themselves, to trust, be confident in themselves, be open, be aware, see clearly where they are, where they want to be, see what's in between, the gaps that they must close, because it's not enough for you to see the future, but we also have to build capacity. We have to build intelligence, education. Like what I say around education, I say education exposes us to new knowledge. New knowledge allows us to apply that knowledge to acquire new skills. When we have new skills, we can participate in new opportunities. And by participating in those new opportunities, we will enjoy new rewards. We will be rewarded. But it first starts with exposure to information, education. That's what, those are the things, insights I have and I bring together. Does that help as I'm moving on to the entrepreneur side of things in terms of entrepreneurship strategies? Any other thoughts? I know this is deep. It takes a while to simmer and reflect on these things. But honestly, it's just an offer. I see it, I understand it, I do not ignore it, I do not want to wish it away, but I know the mental struggle that we always have to go through when we hear something we've never heard before. It feels uncomfortable, very much so. I must admit that change, transformation is not easy. It ain't easy. Tony will tell you it's not easy. For me to be speaking here and doing this, I have my own wounds and realignments, right? That allows me to do this. So let me quickly dive into the entrepreneurship strategy, and then I'll open it up again for final discussions and wrap up segment. Okay. So thank you so much for those who are still here with me, and team replay. Thank you so much. So I'm taking a deep breath and switching gears now. So this is the new format, and I want feedback as well. This is the new format I want to be engaging in: life strategies and then business strategies. I could also flip it, start with the business. I think business is easier sometimes. Life is really where the friction happens. But here's the thing: we do business the way we do life. That's why these things are merged together. So at the Business and Leadership Academy, I always release resources, classes, programs. Like every week, I'm releasing something for my members and my clients. And this weekend, I released and launched the Entrepreneurs Workbook. It's a workbook where I'm putting together 36, 37, actually 37 questions, continuing to evolve it. The first version has been released. I think the first version has maybe 34 questions. Now today, after this session, I'm adding on three, right? So it's going to be 37 by the end of today. 37 questions every entrepreneur must answer. What I want to quickly do now is just talk about one. I think it's number 6 or so. I want to dive into one of those questions, but you can access the full Entrepreneurs Workbook, the Accelerator Mastermind, the Game Plan 12 Strategies for Winning, 20 plus courses, 100 plus newsletters. You can access it just in one place at the Business and Leadership Academy, nazaru.academy. So let me dive into one of the questions I'm pulling from that workbook that is so important. Okay. I think it's number 6. The question goes something like this. Okay, ready? Are you in an industry, a growing industry, a shrinking industry, an impacted industry, or an emerging industry? Okay. So think about the business you're in or the businesses that you're building, and ask this question and answer it. Are you in a growing industry, a shrinking industry, or a disrupted industry, or an emerging industry? That answer, keep it, because the strategy now comes. I'm going to share the strategy, because the strategy you need to implement for yourself in those 3 categories is different. Let me break it down. Okay. If your answer is, I'm in a growing industry, this is what it means. It means several things, but let me quickly break it down. If it is growing, it means customers and clients are actively spending money into that industry. There might be another thing you want to understand: the life of that industry. For example, okay, face masks. Under COVID-19, market condition, right, grew. A new space just emerged that didn't exist before. Boom! Everybody needs a face mask. Many people moved into that growing space, but it has a lifespan. Sure, you know. Sure, you know, it's a Nigerian thing. Sure, you know. Hope you know. Right? That space has a lifespan. One thing I also want you to research is what we call diffusion of innovation. Introduction of new ideas, new concepts, new businesses, new brands, and the duration and the lifespan of that. This is why I also teach branding, because branding will cover you. Brand will extend beyond the expiry date of a product or a service. But most people that do not invest in the brand, when that service ends, when the lifestyle of that service ends, their business ends. When the product is no longer needed, everything dies with that product. The way you edge and you de-risk your business is to build a brand that can continue to launch what the market is going to, because markets evolve. That's another question on the 37 questions, right? Every entrepreneur should understand and answer. That's part of the Business and Leadership Academy. That's why you need to sign up. Okay. But I'm bringing one question today, is that markets continue, consumer behavior, consumer customer behavior, this is more advanced, right? Continue to shift, right? So the markets, the demands of consumers, say 20, 30 years ago, IBM, the products they were serving consumer behavior 30 years ago, is not the same IBM today. But IBM as a brand lived and lives on. But their products have, many of their products that they've launched died, services launched died, right? Throughout that duration, how many products and services have been launched and, you know, killed completely? But the brand lives on. That's another thing I teach. I have a whole session, actually, lots of sessions on branding early in February. The recording is available for any new member that joins, right? The power of branding. But that's not the topic today. I'm going into this question of, are you in a growing industry, a dying industry, an impacted industry, or an emerging industry? Because the strategy you need to implement for your business, this is more advanced, right? Should be different. If you're in a growing space, it means customers and clients are actively spending in that space. You don't have to preach too much. There's a huge demand. Last week, I also taught the laws of demand and supply, how demand and supply is affecting your business. Because a lot of times, when new entrepreneurs, 5-year-old, they're not considering these things. You're seeing certain shifts and you don't know what's going on. I'm trying to explain it today, that there are market conditions externally, that it may not be your product, it may not be your service that is the problem, it may not be you. It may be your lack of understanding of the shifts in your market. Okay. If the pool you're fishing from is poisoned, your fish is poisoned. That's that's what I'm saying. Is that if you go to a pool and they put warning, this fish is not edible. This, right? There are toxic waste in this ocean. And you, as an entrepreneur, you're still trying to fish. You get what you get. Ignorance is not bliss, people. Lack of knowledge is very dangerous, even in entrepreneurship. Okay. So if you're in a growing space, it means there's the ecosystem is nourished. That pond, fish are biting the baits. They're feeding you, is nourished. What you have to do as a brand, as a business, is how do you become best in class? How do you become the first in the mind of those that are buying? Because they have options. Competition, it also means competition exists. In a growing market, you will find more competition. I won't go too much into that, but there's a lot of things that in the workbook we're breaking down. Okay. Just be aware. Are you in a growing space? There's some strategic decisions you have to do, you have to make. There's some things you have to do for your business to ride that wave. That's what we call ride the wave. If the tide is ready to blow you into the stratosphere of wealth, please ride it. But if you don't know how to ride that wave, when that wave comes and it goes, you missed, which is what we were talking about in the life strategies, is that 10-year circles may come. There are decisions, there are businesses that may need to be launched today. Maybe the peak of it may be 5-10 years from now. But if you don't start today, you may miss that ride. But guess what? Maybe another ride will come back 5 years from now. And this is where markets and stock markets and all of those things come. The people who ride the wave of the stock market, they know that there's a wave. They do daily waves, quarterly waves, monthly waves. You have to monitor the waves. But if you don't monitor and you're putting your money when the market is down, you will lose. Anyway, okay, that's general. Now, if you're in an impacted, when I say impacted, COVID-19 impacted. If you're in the restaurant business, guess what? Impacted. Head on, eye of the bull. You were in the bull's eye. It's head on, boom. You couldn't. There's no, other industries, they were able to walk around. No, you were the center of the storm. You now have some decisions you have to make. Pivot, that's when we talk about pivot. There are different things. This is why when I work one-on-one with clients, right, when they come, we come up with a new strategy. For example, if you're in restaurant business, is there a unique spice that you could package and throw into the when I say throw, put it in the retail world because I come from retail. Your spice may actually hold more value than your restaurant. Did you know that? Did you know you could do a cooking show teaching everybody, giving your recipe away? Those are the things privately we work one on one to explore and help people come up with a new winning strategy. If it's in a shrinking industry, meaning if you're manufacturing pencil and eraser and the world has moved to tablets, the world is not coming back to you. Yes, there will still be need for pencil and eraser. Yes, we're still using it to take notes, but the world is moving away from your industry. You may still have time. It's not dead, but it's dying. You may have to make some decisions. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but the emerging industry is another one. So in the diffusion of innovation, you are still in the first 1, 2, 3 years of the life cycle of that brand. Most of the people buying into whatever it is you're doing right now are early adopters. For example, me. Everybody listening to me now, you're an early adopter of brand towing. Thank you. Because Toyin just came out of corporate, put some things in motion, launched a lot of brand, released the Business and Leadership Academy, International Trade Network, this. People are still like, who is she? Where is she coming from? I'm like, you're an early adopter. Okay, I'm laughing. Thank you. If you're watching, if you're watching me or listening to me right now, thank you for contributing towards this brand. You are an early adopter. I welcome you. But please do me a favor. Go and bring more of your family. They need to hear this. We need to grow the community really fast. So I'm going to stop there because I'm laughing right now. Let's just open it up and just wrap it up. But this is just one of the questions from the 37 questions entrepreneurship workbook, and really it's advanced. So I bring, the world of big business. I served as a strategist to Fortune 1, really the biggest company in the world, over 500 billion whatever, right? Dollars, not whatever. I'm sorry. Let me acknowledge the hard work of millions of people. Yes, I was part of that ecosystem, serving as a strategist, managing back end, infrastructure. So I honor you. Incredible story there. But my point is that's the world I'm coming from. And me being able to bring that mindset into the world of small businesses, I see several things that people could be thinking. Like, so my academy is really next level, kind of like next level business thinking for those who want to scale and go to the next level. So let me stop right there and open it up to the fourth session where we have final discussion, and then we do the wrap up and we end for today. How does that sound? Miss Chrissy, let me start from you. Thoughts, reactions, feedback, any reactions to that? Thank you so much.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Still out.
Yes.
Okay. I love that it was broken down into 4 industries because I'm in the growing one, and so I got excited, like, oh, I'm extra on time for something and not late as usual.
Okay, so you're in a growing industry.
But then when you, yes.
Okay, good.
But we were just mentioned, I thought imaginary industry was something, imagine industry was like, you're in denial, but when you describe it, that's definition, I'm like, oh, I'm partially that too. So are you able to be in 2 industries, growing and imagine?
Oh, let me close the gap. Let me close the gap for you. Sorry, let me quickly close the gap for you in what you just said. Here's another thing. You could be an emerging brand operating in a growing industry. You are an unknown in an existing industry.
Gotcha, yep.
Right? So the industry is buying and selling. People are investing heavily in that industry, but you just showed up to the scene, maybe 2, 3 years. Right? So they don't know you enough. This is the power of branding. This is the power of branding. This is the power of branding. Many people resist branding, but if you don't brand, you will suffer. Why? Known brands, people would that have built trust, known brands that have built trust over the years, you're competing with them. Tell me how you're going to win. Okay? For example, the game plan 12 strategies for winning. It's in the personal development space. And Tony Umesiri is coming, and Tony Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins has been on the game for 30 plus years, teaching people, coaching people, guiding people, inspiring people, getting people to work on fire, investing. People are spending thousands of dollars in the world of personal development. And then Toyome City just came in and says, come and enroll in the game plan, 12 strategies for winning in life and business. And people will check me out and say, why should we? Who are you? Why should we listen to you? Why should we invest in you? Right? This is human behavior. My point is, understand it. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. I know my value. Okay? I know the value I have. I know the value I'm offering, but the key is, does the market see it yet? How do I educate the market that my value is life changing, life transforming to the core? It's a process. Nothing like that app. The brand Tony Robbins didn't come on the scene overnight. He also had to build it from nothing. At his early stages, people probably thought he was crazy, insane when he was making people walk on stones and fire. Today, nobody thinks so anymore, because guess what? He's a known. He's now a known, and the world knows the outcomes of working with him. This is where humility comes in. People don't want to build. People want outcomes, but they don't want to do the work. They've been made to believe the day you sow a seed, you will start reaping harvest tomorrow. The law, Bible says there's the law of sowing and reaping exists. Okay, so to your point, just to help you close the gap, that the question I just asked could be asked of the market. In fact, I don't want to give too much away. You need to enroll. But let me say, part of the questions that led up to this particular question that I asked, the questions went from industry, markets, to even market segmentation, community. So I didn't just ask this question in a vacuum. There were different questions that led to this. Why? Because you could be in an industry, say automotive industry, that is growing in America, but that same industry, if you are living in the UK, could be dying, because everybody is walking to work. They don't need cars. Emissions, they're trying to slow down emissions. They're riding their bicycle, right? So a growing industry where everybody's like, let's buy a car in America. People are buying cars. In Europe, people are saying, no, too much emission. We want to lower our greenhouse gases. So everybody that is producing cars in Europe, they want to push it into America. It's a market condition. You want to find the market that is growing, because even in the industry, you could be in an industry that may be dying in a certain market, okay, but growing in another market. This is where global trade and international trade dynamics comes in, which is why I say this, I'm going advanced. Sometimes every day I'm like trying to give people bite size, but if you're hungry for the meat of what I teach, there's really the sophisticated market strategy and business strategy that I help with as well. Is that you also need to understand market segmentation when we start talking about market share. What slice of the big pie? How big is the pie that you're going after? Personal development, for example, how big is that pie? We can say, oh, it's $2 billion annually is being spent in the US. You're like, 2 billion people are spending money. What size of that market? What can I do to slice? Even if I get 0.005%, what is that? Let's go after that. It's a market strategy. But here's also what people don't understand. Let me pull it back. You could be in an industry that is growing. You could be in a market that has high demand for what is growing. You could be targeting a market segment that is spending money. But here's the key. At the community level, people may not be woke to whatever it is you're trying to offer. Classic example, personal development. Chrissy, me and myself and you, we know that there are certain communities that are underserved. They haven't been taught to invest $1 in themselves. They've been taught to spend thousands of dollars in Nike shoes, consumables, Louis Vuitton bags, and they are spending that money on, should I say, our wigs, our weaves, our bags, our skincare. We're spending thousands of money in movies and consumables. But this same community, when you look at the Nelson data in terms of where those communities are putting money, when it comes to, oh yeah, personal development, develop yourself, they'll tell you that is too expensive. Why should I pay this for this? Why should I pay that? Why? That community is lagging behind. The results, that's why I said the world is fair. The results bear it. The reason the fact that the community is not investing in themselves, you think about poverty rates in those same communities. The communities that is spending the most in consumables, you think about economic development is low. Please, what? Because they've been conditioned to be throwing their money and giving that money to make other people rich. But the knowledge that will help them to gain wealth and develop their own community, they don't want to buy. They think it is free. You see, you see my point? So you need to understand that if you are called, let me bring in faith here. If you are called to that community, do you run away? Or do you start teaching them the effect of their indecisions? I know I just put something really sore out there, but I see it and I'm calling it out. Miss Chrissy, please react to my thank you. I know that's heavy. That's heavy stuff.
Yes. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll come back.
Yes, yes. Yes, definitely. Yes, Miss Ariola, any thoughts on that? Because this is intense. What I just put out there is it's a lot.
Differentiating the different markets and the state of markets to help entrepreneurs to fit in properly, be able to define their products, refine their products, and bring out what would actually sell at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're very right, because I operate a little in the interior sector of the Nigerian economy,
Mm-hmm.
and based in England, and still dealing with my clients and colleagues over there, I realized that what they use now for their ceilings and the floors are changing. And so whoever goes ahead to bring the old type of materials will be stopped. That's the market's evolving.
The market has shifted. They've moved on.
Just like so, I pick those examples, and that is the truth for everything anybody sells. And you come across saying you can help clients to come up with different products in the range of what they do, like brands still able to come up with recipe and make money from, and still not losing sight that they actually cook and sell food. But because that may not be the end thing at that time, they have to look around and pick something else and still keep going.
Right.
I picked that. They're trying to differentiate between emerging markets and a company evolving, going through different stages of development and growth. So I'm trying to put all that together in my head, really. And
right. Because of what you just said, and I know you have an appetite for this, let me just throw one more thing, is that not only do we need to answer these questions today, we also need to project into the future. So a growing market today, in 5 years' time, may become dying. Aha. Because part of the work I used to do for Walmart is looking into 3, 4, 5 years ahead. Where's the future of the world going? So, for example, people today are talking about digital disruption. As far back as 7, 8 years ago is when we were looking, as futurists, we are looking into this future, looking at trends and behavior, right? And we're saying, where is the world going? And we actually had data that by 2020, 40% of purchasing power in America will be controlled by Generation Z. And the moment we dived into the reality, their behavior, their patterns, right? We already knew that this generation and this pool of people is growing really fast. Baby boomers are dying. A company that was developed around the needs and patterns of a baby boomer, if you repeat what you repeated for their parents and grandparents and you try to sell the same way to this growing pool of incredibly powerful movement of people, you will fail as a business. You will fail. Like, it's given. If you don't, here's it. Indecision is a decision. Not deciding to pivot and invest in digital acceleration. You've decided you are dying. Like, indecision to invest in this digital acceleration, omni-channel strategy, you're gone. Why? It's just a matter of time. Those who didn't make that decision 7, 8 years ago, they've closed shop in retail. But the company I was working for, we were, in fact, I remember the CIO. I used to say that it's like she has a virtual, like Flintstone big stick. Like, digital disruption is coming. It's coming. Digital acceleration, digital omni-channel strategy. Why? Because there's an entity, and I have friends there in Silicon Valley called Institute of the Future for the Future. I have friends there. If you want to know where the world is going, just take a glimpse. Just quickly go to that place. Go and download their research paper, their white paper. Make friends with them. The next 5 to 10 years of the world, they will tell you where the world is going. It's a trend. That's why even when I moved into this Africa, it's because I have a first degree in mathematics. I can read trend. I'm trained as a futurist, as a strategist. When I also read the data about Africa, if you read World Bank, you pull all this data together, and you're here, Africa is the future of the world. I'm like, I want to be a part of the future. Quickly, I'm like, I live. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, corporate. I am going to not just sit around waiting for that future. Even me, I will build railway. I will build elevator. I will build bridges. I will build skyscraper. I will build everything I can build to participate, not just participate, lead, command, right? That future. It's simple. It's simple. If you can read the future, Africa is right. Go on, please.
That's why I still keep my office, my my paraphernalia of what I do.
Right.
Necessarily there. People still reach out to me. Do you still do this?
Right.
And then I get to.
So the question is, which I didn't go into, is that if you're in an imagine, that's an imagine space. So for me, I operate many dimensions, which is what I coach on. So for me, there are certain things I'm doing that falls into different categories. So for you, for example, I suspect it's probably the same. There may be something right now. This is how you edge your risks as an entrepreneur. You don't want, if you're going into an emerging space, part of the strategy is you don't put all your eggs in that basket, because it's you have to patiently wait for timing. Like Zoom is a classic example. Do you understand? And they rode the wave. But Zoom was existing, implementing, growing before the wave came. So you need to edge. You need to edge. So if you're going into an emerging space, you need to read that trend 3-5 years out. And there are certain things you must do while you're waiting, right? That's why they say you don't need to be the best, you need to be the first. You don't need to be the best, you need to be the first in an emerging space. First mover advantage is what emerging stakeholders benefit from. Nazaru is first in growing, nurturing an industry that did not exist, and we will ride the wave, right? But there are certain other things. While you're waiting, you have to get busy doing some, which is another strategy that is usually privately we design. So please, sorry, go on. You were saying that you still have your office, you still have things flowing, but the key is, are you going to enjoy? If staying dormant is not the key for, it's not the key. Visibility is what will benefit you. Go on, please. I know I interrupted.
Before saturation sets in, like you said, being the first and not the best means you will have raked in all the opportunities, or a chunk of the opportunity before others are coming, which is a position.
Yes. So yes, the strategy is two things: visibility, strategic positioning. There's a third one, but those two are the arrowhead strategy that will help you pierce that market: visibility and positioning.
That's capacity building, right?
Yes. If you make promises and you cannot deliver, your exposure, it's going to be bad, right? So yes, that's the third one. Is like you're visible. You are visible, you are positioned, but boy, you better have the capacity to deliver everything you are promising everybody because you are exposed. Yeah, awesome. Miss Chrissy, are you back now? Oh, okay. Maybe tomorrow, as I'm wrapping up for today, I want to really thank everybody. The Business and Leadership Academy is really, that's where it's hot. It's cooking. It's happening. You can join as a basic member accessing the Business Accelerator course, or the professional member where you can access everything. Okay. And then the premium membership includes personal time with me, personal session. So Miss Chrissy is back. Yay! Welcome back.
Thank you.
Awesome.
What for me is one of the first aha moments that I had in this room in the last couple of weeks was you ordered the analogy of moving a lot and realizing when you need to unpack and fully unpack and like accept that you're home.
You're going in and out. Sorry. Your Wi-Fi, you're going in and out. I missed everything you were saying. Please, can you repeat that? Sorry. Thank you.
No, it's okay. Can you hear me better now?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. What came up was the previous one you mentioned. We moved quite a few times since you've been in America, and some places you knew were temporary, and other places you knew to unpack. And as entrepreneurs, we don't unpack, and that hit home for me. Like I wasn't accepting; I was one foot in and one foot out of entrepreneurship. But I think you just told me where home was, because explaining that I am in a growing industry that is also imagined helped me the process that I just found the intersection of where I live in the industry, and it helped me process the intersection where I am as an entrepreneur in that industry. So that's really like eye-opening.
Wow, that's incredible. The key for what you just explained, the key strategy that I would say, if I were recommending, is clearly understanding your competition, which is one of the other questions. So my 37, the entrepreneurs workbook includes, right, describing who your competition is and what they do, what they are doing differently, and what's helping them win. Because if you're in the same pool, okay, and somebody is catching every fish and loading up and catching every fish, and you are coming up with nothing, in the same pool, in the same ocean, you should ask. This is the why. This is wisdom. Most times people will go and sit in one corner and say, oh, my life is, no, it's not your life. All you have to do, if you're in the marketplace, your competition is making so much money and you are not, the same market, the question you should be asking is, what are they doing that you are not? They know something you don't know. They are adopting certain principles you do not know about. That's it. I say success is available to anybody that knows the principles and practices it. That's why when I say the Business and Leadership Academy, I teach entrepreneurship principles, the fundamentals. You must master it. Education teaches mastery. Okay, this is another of my quotables. Education teaches mastery. Failure will teach you a lesson. Failure teaches a lesson, meaning you didn't know something, you attempted it, you failed, you will learn a lesson not to. It's like if you touch fire, it would, right? You touch fire by mistake, you burn, you will never touch it again. That's a lesson. Education will show you the kitchen. This is where the kitchen is. This is knife. This is how we use knife. Fork. This is what we use fork for. Spoon. And this is the gas station. This is where we cook food. Don't go near it. This is how you do this. This is where you do this. On the morning you do this. This is the pantry. You find oatmeal. If you need this is what we teach our kids. We educate our kids. Why? Why do we educate our kids? So that they don't fail. Because what we don't teach them at home, they will go out into the world. This is why the Bible says lack of knowledge is what makes people fail. My people perish, fail for lack of knowledge, whether in business, whether in life. So if you are in a growing industry where people are telling you we're making money, we're doing this, we're making 7 figure, 10 figure, whatever figure, that means people are spending money. And if you find yourself in that same space and you are not, you need to just roll up your sleeve and get to work. Deep research. What do they know that I do not know? What have they done that I haven't done? What are they doing behind the scene that I need to put in place? What structures exist in their business? What tools are they using to fish in this pond, in this ocean? What are they doing on Clubhouse that you are not? What are they saying that you are not? This is where wisdom and practical knowledge comes in. Unfortunately, again, they will say fail fast. I say learn fast. Learn at the Business and Leadership Academy. I will teach all these things. What I'm doing right now is documenting all of these things and putting it in one place. Why? I don't want to keep saying, oh, buy this, buy that. No, enroll and access, right? So if you're in a growing industry, okay, you have heavy competition. And your customer base and your client base have choices. It's like going into the grocery store. You want to buy toothpaste. We have choices. Customers are enjoying the pool of competitive, right? Customers win when there's competition in a growing industry. And every single day, many people are moving into that industry. So if you move in and all you're offering is a product and a service, and you think customers will buy just because your product or service is the best. No, 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 no. They are comparing. Your customers and your clients will see what you're offering, and they have 100 other people they can go and research. It's the reality. That's where that market behaves. While in the emerging industry, first movers clear the table. Zoom cleared the table. Other people are still struggling because Zoom was, right, ready to go. But if you're going into a growing space, you have competition. You have to tell your story. You have to market yourself. You have to do so many more things, which I see is the struggle. Well, many people now are resorting to dancing on reels, doing extreme stuff that they would naturally not do just to get attention. Because absolutely, you have street. If you don't dance, nobody's getting. The customers are not dance. They want you to dance, and the customers are determining what they want. So there's another strategy when I work with my clients one-on-one. You see what I'm doing right now? This is my own strategy, right? I will knock out the competition with my own small stone, David and Goliath. I will show up with my own Chrissy, go on. Right? This is my own strategy. I'm not going to dance. If I want to dance, I will. But for someone to be commanding me, I will not. But this is what I would do. I will transform lives. I will shape. I will lead with inspiration, with motivation, because this is who I am anyway. I will lead with this. I will lead the market with the person that I am. There is no duplicates. And if you want this, you have to come to me. You can't get it anywhere else in the world. So this is my differentiation right here. Anyway, so that's a strategy I help people decide and design for themselves as well. Go on, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Tony. Yeah, you're right. Your brand is you.
It's me.
And you're unique.
Yeah.
Your analogy comes to you naturally. I've listened to you over the months. You come up with vivid analogy that says things that you just have to be used to come out that way. Like what you just gave about kitchen, pantry, teaching, put things together. These are examples you give that brings out the topic, the points you're making, and it comes from within, from your wealth of knowledge. It is just you. Just like Warren Buffett has his own, Maxwell has his own. You know what I mean? When you read the books, then that's you too. When your book comes out, or when you mount the podium, it is you speaking. It is your stuff, and so is every one of us. If we actually search within and dive deep to know what we stand to be or who we are.
Yes.
So your brand, and I must commend you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's This is why one of the first sessions I do, which is where the two sides of life and business I merge it, is because for so many years, while I was trying to shift people when it comes to business strategy, I saw that life, how they were doing life and mindset was in the way. So one of the very first session that I always host has to do with personal development, your strengths, your weakness, opportunity, like all of these things. We dive into it because before we can offer anything to the world, we better know what we're offering. Like before I can show up and say, this is towing, this is my perspective, this is my experience, this is my intelligence, this is my capacity to transform, right? I better know if it is a fork or knife, if this tool can cut down a tree, or is a bulldozer that can bulldoze things in the way. I have to, because so the programs I've developed, the game plan 12 strategies for winning, the business and leadership academy, were designed, even the international trade net, they were designed specifically to be effective, to achieve specific things in the marketplace for specific groups of people. I have clarity about that. That's why you find me saying that if people are fine, because the journey that I take people on is a journey of transformation, is a journey of winning, is a journey of success. And that journey, my sister, you cannot make anybody go on if they are not ready to do the work. It's not a journey you carry somebody on your shoulder and you carry them to the mountain Everest. No, nobody does that. Now, if you're halfway, they might help you, or all of you come down. Okay? You want to get to Mount Everest, the only people you need to go on that journey with are people that also can pack capacity, not dependent fellas. You don't want to go with people that would, which is another topic. Maybe tomorrow I'll open tomorrow up with dependent fellas. Go on, please.
Self-motivation, commitment.
Yes. So I see it. Many people come, it's like they're taking a peek at the window. Like, what is Toyin saying? That's one. Another group would say, offer it to us now. While they put their hands like this, folded hands. I do not respond to folded hands. Jesus even asked that guy at the pool, do you look like somebody that is serious about your own transformation? Yeah. So I don't respond to folded hands. I don't. Because to get to Mount Everest, this is what you have to practice, is the parable of the 10 virgins. Because even halfway, even people who start, if you don't pack enough oil, you get halfway, abandoned projects, you come back. You see my point? Not everybody who starts that journey with intention makes it through. Why? You must pack enough capacity. If you're in an emerging space, you must pack enough to ride while you're waiting for the bridegroom. The bridegroom is coming. It has been promised. But if it delays, do you have enough to ride that wave? Because when that trumpet or that say, oh, opportunities are here, a new industry has emerged, if you've not prepared and you try to move, that's what failure is. Right? That's why the category was split into two. 5 packed enough for halfway journey. 5 had the wisdom to pack enough for halfway plus extra. So the people I work with, everything that I'm sharing is overload. Right? I know that. I just shared, I worked for the world's largest company, Fortune 1, $500 billion company. I'm bringing that mindset here. That's who I am. I cannot divorce myself. And I know it's an overload. It's an overkill. When I say, oh, I'm hosting summits, ambassadors, it's an overload. It's an overkill. But guess what? There is an emerging industry, emerging businesses that they need to speed up, accelerate, right? Maybe they've been lagging behind, but the knowledge I pack, overnight transformation, those who have spent the last hour with me now, you've actually tap into something that many people in a year's time may not even be aware of. Like everything I just packed into the last hour, many people in a full year may not even be exposed to that knowledge. So I know and I'm aware that everything I share I'm an accelerant. Whether it's business, whether it's life, that's the effect I have on people. It's 30 minutes with me. When I work with my clients, my sessions are 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or the academy. And in 4 weeks, the overnight, the transformation is real, it's immediate, it's effective, it's impactful, it's precise. I know that. So my point is, who are those people? And the only way the outcomes, the results bear, is if those people match my energy. Like they have to bring a certain energy to the table as well, because I'm not going to do the work, right? It's like, Jesus gave us salvation, but you must believe. And then you must work out your salvation with fear and trembling. He left us with some work as well. He did the ultimate pull, right? But guess what? He also left us with you occupy till I come. Anyway, so I have that clarity that not everybody can digest the fullness of the things I pack and I teach. But sometimes I try to bring, nuggets. I drip, drip, drip. That's why I said don't skim on live, don't skip on live, don't scroll on live, because sometimes you just see me say, oh, don't use social media, use social media, don't let social media use you. I would say things like passion sells, desire buys. Loaded in that one phrase is a book. You see my point? But many people, they are skimming, they are skipping, we are being conditioned to be eating crumbs. And crumbs, see, Elon Musk, it cannot take you to space. If God is there trying to pack you to space, if you don't pack enough knowledge, if you don't pack enough, reservoir of engine fuel, you might take off. Will it be sustained? Gravity is still at work. So I know that only people who want to go to school, that's why I say academy, people that are going far need this. People that are not, they don't need this. That's my summary. If you're going far, if you want to go far, if you want sustained success, then you want to hit air, you want to follow Toyin, you want to be a part of this. But if you are not going that far for a far journey, you pack for the journey you are on. So I'm aware of that, and I'm patiently waiting for the awakening of that. Okay. Okay, let me wrap up, my dear. Miss Ariola, wrap us up and then I'll close this out.
Yeah, okay. I just want to thank everybody for being here. It's been a wonderful afternoon. Yeah, I made some money over there. And then I've heard a lot, I've learned a lot from Coach and the other speaker. And like Coach Tony said, the entrepreneurial journey is just the journey. Then you will constantly keep learning, keep unfolding, and be explore. So thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. On that note, I'm going to close out the main live stream and I'll see you again. And do head over to toyinyumesiri.com to find out more resources that you can tap into. And if you would like to book a virtual meet and greet with me, there's also access to request that on my website, toyinyumesiri.com. God bless you all. Bye.